Welcome to day 13 of our Excel in 60 Days Mastery Challenge. We'll be building a to-do list. By the end of this class, you'll be learning how to build a to-do list like this. You can see that our to-do list is a smart to-do list. It calculates our pending tasks, our completed tasks. We have our calendar that we can use to pick our start and end days. Then it calculates our total days. So let's get started to see how we can develop this masterpiece. Our to-do list will have the following components: a date picker calendar, task category dependencies, smart reporting screen, easy checkboxes, priority dropdown, and cancellation of completed tasks. So let's jump right in. Let's begin by formatting our to-do list, okay? So we have start date, we have end date, we have the tax number, the tax category, that will be a drop-down list, the task will also be a drop-down list, the priority will be a drop-down list. Then on our status, we are going to be inserting checkboxes. Then comment, we will use formulas to determine the comment based on our status. All right, so let's format this now, okay? So we are going to highlight this whole range where we will be having our to-do list, okay? So let's say Control-1 on our keyboard, then head on to border, all right? So let's highlight the area of our to-do list, then hit Control-1 on our keyboard to format the cells. Then let us pick this color, this green color here, okay? Then pick this line style, all right? So we want to pick this outline and the inside as well, okay? This is our preview. Then go ahead and click OK. So we are going to have something like this. All right, so now that we have something like this, let us highlight this row, our header rows, okay? Then centralize them, put them in the middle, right? Let's change the font to, say, Aptos and make them bold. Then we'll make the fill color the same green we used, then change the font to white, okay? So we have something like this now. Then for the date, we'll highlight the start and end date as well. Let us centralize them and align them to the middle. So we'll change the font to Aptos as well. If you don't have Aptos font, you can download them on Google or you can use any font of choice, okay? So let's use these, okay? Then we'll increase the font size a little. So let's have it at 12, okay? Make them bold and then give it this green fill and a white font, all right? So what we need to do now is to enter the formula for the tax number so that when we enter a task, we will definitely have it fill up automatically. So let's enter the formula. Let's say equals a sequence, all right? Okay, we open our parentheses. So go ahead and say count A, open another parenthesis. Let's have the entire range of our tax area. We will be using double parentheses here because we have one open here, another open, so we can't close with one. So we'll definitely have to close with two. So we hit enter. All right, so we have this error. To remove this error, we will have to use the if error. I'll come to the formula bar here and say if error, open another parenthesis. So I want to say if there is an error, just leave a blank space. So I'll say comma and open quote and close quote and then close the parenthesis and hit enter. So the formula is there, but you can't basically see any error. So if we're to write, say, hello here as a task and hit enter, you see immediately we have the tax number coming out, okay? So since it's a sequence, right, so we don't have to autofill. Once we keep entering, it's going to be counting in that sequence, okay? All right, so what we need to do next is to ensure we can use lists to enter our task category as well as our task, okay? All right, now let's move on to creating a primary drop-down list. So to create our primary drop-down list, we already have some items here on the list sheet, okay? Where we had the category items in our row and their dependencies. So let's begin by creating named range for our category. So we highlight our headings that will serve as our category, head on to formulas, and in formulas, click on name manager. Then let's create a new name range. We want to rename it to category. Then we'll go ahead and click OK. Okay, so we have that name range now. If you notice, we don't have space in between the words, right? So that we don't have any issues when we want to address them. So the next name range we will be creating is their dependent list, okay? So now I want to create personal development as its own list. So still on formula, on define names group, I will just click on create from selection. So I want to use the top row personal development as the title of this list, okay? So I'll click OK. I'll do the same for work productivity, for business finance, highlights, click on create from selection and say OK. So I'll just do the rest now, okay? So now that we're done, let's go to our name manager and see if we have all the lists. So still on that formula, in define names group, click on name manager, and we can see all of our named ranges. We have our category named range, a category listed in this name range. Then we have the individual categories with their dependencies listed here. So we have the individual categories and their items listed here. All right, let's click on close and now go back to our to-do list sheet. So we want to apply the category as our primary drop-down list. So we will highlight under task category, okay? Then we'll go to our data tab. Then under data tools, click on data validation, click on allow here and select list, okay? Now from the source, we'll click on the source because we have name ranges already. So you can just click on the source here and say F3 on your keyboard. You are going to see all of your name ranges. So we want to enter category, right? So we can just click on category and say, okay. So we can now say, okay. So we see that we have them applied. So wherever we click under the task category, we are going to see all of the categories, okay? Now we want to enter the dependencies now. What do we mean? We want to ensure that when we select, for instance, personal development, only items under personal development, if you come to our list, you see it, only these items will come up for selection, okay? So let us enter our dependencies here on that task. We highlight the cell, we go to data and data validation, then we will click on the drop-down to select lists, all right? Then in the formula, we want to use the indirect function, okay? So I'll be pasting the formula here and explaining, okay? So I'll paste the formula here. I'll have the formula in the YouTube description so that you see, but let's explain the formula. So we have the indirect function here, and we have the nested substitute, right? Because we want to ensure that we substitute wherever there is space, right? Wherever there is space and wherever there is underscore, or wherever there is the and symbol, right? So we want it to be dependent on whatever it's on B11, right? You can see the address here, B11. We go ahead now and click OK. So once we click OK, since this is on personal development, if you click the drop down here, you see that everything under personal development will come up for selection. If we pick something else, say work and productivity, everything under work and productivity is what we come up for selection. So this is how we create a dependent drop-down list. Okay, since we have entered this formula here, we could as well just autofill this, right? Click, hold, and drag. So the list will be applied here. So if you go to the data validation, you are going to see that it's not B11 anymore, it's B12, okay? So that is done correctly. So that if we even select, say, another category here, let's say business finance, on the dependent list here, everything about business finance is what we'll get. Okay, so we have successfully entered our primary list and our dependent list. All right, let us enter our priority list. Okay, so in our priority list, we'll just enter it directly. So we have the high, medium, and low priority. So we highlight the cells under our priority column. Then under data, we'll go to data validation, then select list, okay? Then we want to impute it directly and say high, comma, low, medium, comma, low. Go ahead and click OK. So we have implemented our list here, and you can see it's just direct. So we can just click high, low, and medium, depending on the priority of our task. What we have to do following is that we have to enter checkboxes here. In Microsoft 365, it's just as easy as clicking to insert checkboxes. But here, because most people will be using the Microsoft desktop, so we can just go ahead and show us how we can enter this, even though it's a little bit tricky, but we will show you how to do that simply. Okay, we will be needing our developer tab. I use the developer tab, that is why I have it. But if you don't have it, how you enter it is you go to File, okay, you go to More, okay, go to Option, then go to Customize Ribbon, then you will see Developer tab here for you to check it, okay? You check Developer tab. But if you don't have Developer tab here, what you need to do is to click the drop down here and say All Commands. When you select All Commands, you scroll down until you find the Developer tab. When you see Developer, then you click on it. So when you find Developer, you click on it to check it. Then you click on, you see this Add button here will be highlighted. Then you click on the Add button, it will be added to this, your main tabs. So once it's added to your main tabs, you just go ahead and check it. Then when you check it, you click on OK, and immediately it will appear on your tab. Okay? All right. So with your developer tab added, we click on developer, and under controls here, you'll see insert. So we'll click the drop down on insert, and under form controls, we'll click what? Checkbox. When we click the checkbox, we will now click, hold, and drag to draw the checkbox in the cell you want to apply it. So you can click, hold, and drag to adjust it. Then if you check, you are going to see checkbox written here. So you can just click inside and then use your delete button on your keyboard to remove the text, okay? You can also remove the text by right-clicking and say edit text, okay? Then use the delete button to remove the text. You may have challenge. For instance, if you click on it to work on it, you see that it will just check, right? So if you have that challenge, hold down your control every time you want to click to move it, okay? You see, if you hold down control and click on it, you'll be able to adjust it. So I really want to adjust it this way. So once I'm done with this, I click somewhere else, come click on the cell to highlight it, and I can just click, hold, and drag so that everywhere I drag, I will just copy that checkbox into all of the cells. So I hold down control, click on this to highlight it, right click and say format control. So in the format control, I will now go to cell link, and in cell link, I will pick the cell that will be linked to this checkbox. And we could use the same cell where the checkboxes are, but I just want to show us another way that makes it neater. I'll just go to the cell beside it, and I use this as the cell link. I'll click OK now. Watch what happens, okay? So if I check it, you see that it becomes true. If I uncheck it, it becomes false. When we are done, actually, we are going to hide this column so that we don't have to be seeing false and so on. We need the column to write the formula for our comments, okay? So we can go ahead and do for all of these checkboxes. All right, so let us link the last checkbox now. Hold down control, click on the checkbox, right click, click on format control, click on the cell link, and click where we are linking the cell to. So go ahead and click what? Okay. So now on the comment, right, we have demonstrated that if you check any, it is true. If you uncheck, it is false. So on the comment now, we want to use the if function here and say equals if, open parentheses. Let us enter our logical test now. F11, which is the address, is equal to true. Let's say comma to enter our value if true. If the value is true, let it say done. You see that we put done in quotes. We'll say comma, that is value. If false now would be not done. So we'll close our parentheses now and hit enter. You can see now that we have not done because it's false. So if we check it, you see that it says it's done, right? If we want to check it, you see that it says it's not done. So we can just go ahead and autofill this. Okay, it's all not done. Okay, but if you check it, you see that it's done. What if you don't want all this not done here? If you don't want not done, you just want that when you check on it, it should say done instead, but you don't want anything showing here. We will make this formula this way. We will remove the not done, right? So that it becomes empty, right? If we hit enter, then autofill it, you'll find out that every other place that is not yet done will be what? Empty. Our F column have served its purpose. So we can easily just go ahead now and hide this, okay? So highlight the entire column, right? Right click on it and now say hide. Okay, you see that we've hid it, but we still have our formulas or checkbox working correctly based on the formulas we have entered. Okay, now we can click, hold, and drag here to format this so that we have it well centralized. Okay, the next now we need to do is to enter the start date, the end date, as well as total days. Okay, let's have a cell called total days, and we want to copy this formatting and implement it here. Okay, all right. To enter our start dates, we don't want a situation where we begin to struggle to put dates or to insert dates. We want to use a calendar, and we can use a calendar and date picker in Microsoft Excel by adding an extension, basically. All right. So to do that, you go to your home, right? And then you see add-ins, right? Click on add-ins. Let's search for mini calendar. So you see it here, mini calendar and date picker. All right. So click on add. So it's loading. So you can see mini calendar. So you can basically click, hold, and drag to position. Okay. All right. So you basically have your dates now. It shows you your current date. You can choose different months. Okay. So to enter your start date, it's as easy as going to the particular date you want to start it. Click on your start date cell. Then let's say we pick 10th. Okay, you can see you have the date properly entered. And then click on your end date. And let's say you want your end date to be 14th. Okay, you see that is so. So to calculate our total days, we want to come to the total days cell, say equals our end date minus our start date and hit enter. So you see we have 4 days. So now we just have to format this appropriately, right? So you can always still change the end date, assuming maybe you made a mistake. So you want to put another date, you can change that date and you have this override content and you say, okay, I need to override the content, okay? So you can toggle the size of your calendar, okay? And change the theme by clicking on the theme button here, all right? So at least let's change the theme to match our current theme. So we have this done now. All right, so we have filled up our task category and tags based on the primary list and the dependent list as we talked about earlier, as well as filled up our priority, right? Based on our list items here, okay? So now we've entered a section for priority. So we want to know how many high priority tasks we have, how many medium and low priority tasks we have. So we just basically entered them here. So how we will determine this is we will enter the formula here, say equals to count if, let's open our parentheses, and we want to highlight under priority, right, as our range, right? So highlight the priority range, okay? Then say comma, and then we want to pick our criteria. Our criteria is as far as this cell is concerned, is high, okay? We close our parentheses and hit enter. So you can see that we have 2 high priority tasks, okay? So we can just basically autofill this to have it spread across. So we have 9 medium priority. So watch this now. If we change, say we pick high priorities more, you'll see it changes. And let's say we change another medium priority to low, we have it adding and changing, okay? So this makes it very, very beautiful. So now, because we have these 3, so it will be good for us to basically merge and center this so that we have our designs done properly, okay? We can merge and center, okay? Merge and center this as well. So let's basically add borders, okay? Say Control 1. Let's pick the color of our borders based on the theme we're using. And let's pick this size, okay? And say we want it just as outline, okay? So this is how we have it. We'll do the same thing here, Control 1. We just go ahead and pick this outline because we already done this and say, okay. And the same thing here, all right? So for this now, we want to highlight and just put borders all around. So we'll say Control 1. And we want this selection, right? We want outline and inside, okay? So basically all border, then say, okay. So we have it this way. Let's use the font we've been using. Say, make it middle, right? Then let's centralize these counts, okay? So now we have it this way. I think it makes sense, right? Okay, all right. So the next thing we will do is to enter our progress bar. You can say progress. Let's merge this, merge and center. Okay, so this will hold our progress bar. All right, so now that we have made a space for our progress bar, we need to go and work on our total task as well as pending and completed tasks. So we basically have them here, okay? We created a sheet in our workbook so that we can easily just do this and take this as linked pictures to our to-do list. So let us check what our total task is. So we'll be using our count A function. So on total task, we'll say equals, we'll say count A, okay? Then we want to enter our values from our to-do, right? Then select our task because this will give us the total tasks we have entered. So we go ahead, close the parentheses in the formula bar and hit enter. So you see we have our total tasks now. All right, so on the pending task, we want to use the count if function. So we want to count using a condition. So on the pending task here, we'll say equals, we'll say count if, open our parentheses, and let's go to our to-do. Okay, so remember, since we have linked our status checkboxes here to our comment, it will be easy for us to basically use our comment to count the tasks that are not done yet, okay? So those will represent the tasks that are pending. So we'll take the range of the comment, say comma, right? So the criteria here will be empty, right? Just as we did in a formula when we said, if we check it, let it say done. It's unchecked, let it be empty, okay? Instead of saying not done. So when we do this and hit enter, you see that we have all pending tasks, right? You can see that all of them are pending tasks. But if you check any that says done, let's go back and see it is one shot. That is to say, we have done one task, okay? If we uncheck it now that it says not done, it is going to be still 14. That is our total task is 14, our pending is 14. So for our completed, we are going to be using the count if function as well. We'll say equals count if, open our parentheses, and let's go to do, still use the same comment range, okay? Click, hold, and highlight the comment range. Say comma on your formula bar, and let's now use done as our criteria, right? So that it will count the tasks that have been done. So because we have done as our criteria, we'll say open quote and use done. Remember, you must use exactly what you used in the comment area, okay? So we use done and empty. Done to represent that the task has been done, empty to represent that the task is not yet done. So now we'll hit enter and you see that we have 0 completed tasks. But come to your to-do list and then click any and see you have 1 done. You see that when you come here, you see that you have 1 done. Okay. So let's uncheck this and you go back and see that it's 0 done. Let us format this, right? We are going to increase the font size. I can click, hold down Control to highlight or increase the font size. Okay, so 36 is fine. So change the font to Digital 7. You can download Digital 7 from Google. Just search for Digital 7, download it. Okay. So let's make it bold so that we have like a digital display. We can also say Control-1 so that we add our borders, okay? But we want to make sure that the borders have the same theme, okay? So we'll do them individually now. Say Control-1. Let's pick that blue color, right? And then pick this and say outline, then click OK. Let's do the same for this, okay? Let's highlight this way. Control-1. Let's pick the corresponding color. Pick the width of the bar and say outline and say OK. Let's do the same for this. Control-1. Let's pick the corresponding color, right? Pick the width of the outline, say outline and say OK. So you see we have it this way now, okay? To move this up to our to-do list here, highlight it, right click and say copy. So let's go to our to-do list, go to where we want to paste it, right click and say paste special, right? When you go to paste special, say let's paste as linked picture, okay? You see now that we have pasted as linked pictures, okay? So it still has the connection to this sheet, it's linked, right? So it can still perform its duties, okay? Let's do the second one. We highlight, right click, copy, go to our to-do list, right click wherever we want to paste it, go to paste special, then select linked pictures, okay? Click somewhere else, then click, hold and adjust. All right, so let's do the third one. Highlight, let's copy, right click to paste special as linked picture, then click, hold and adjust. So if you want to adjust all of them together, hold down your control, click them individually so that we will basically align them. Come to picture format, you know we pasted them as pictures, but they are linked pictures because they can still show our to-do list functions very well. So let's go to the arrange group and align them, say to the top so that you see they're aligned, then distribute them horizontally so that they will be distributed horizontally well. One thing that will make our to-do list complete is that we have a progress bar. And we already stated here that we want to have our progress bar here. And our progress bar is going to be a function of this. That is, we are going to have completed divided by our total task, okay? So let's go here, right? And say equals, go to where we have the original sheet. Say, let's say completed, divide by our total task and hit enter. So we are going to have it presented this way. Okay, we want to format this to percentage. So on your home tab, just go to your numbers group and click on %. So we'll have this as a percentage. So let us increase the font size of this, okay? Put it in the center, in the middle as well. Then let's change the font to Digital 7, okay? Now we want to use conditional formatting to enter a progress bar so that we have a progress bar showing the progress of our completed task. We'll be using data bars to represent our progress bar. So on our home tab, let's go to conditional formatting here. Go to new rule, okay? And on the format all cells based on their values, let's click the drop down and say data bars, okay? So we have picked data bars. On the type here, let's select and say number, as well as in the maximum here, let's select and say what number. On the value here, we will leave this as 0 and make the maximum number 1 to represent 100%, right? On the bar appearance, let us pick the color of the bar. Let's use this based on our theme. We don't want a border. If you want to have the number shown, you can have the number shown. If you don't want, you say show bar only. When you check show bar only and click OK, you are just going to have the bars. You see how it moves based on our progress, right? In case you don't like to show the text, you just want to show the bars only, you can just check that. It will be good for us to have the text shown, okay, so that we at least see the percentage as well in this case. So let us edit that rule. So go to conditional formatting, click on manage rule so that we can basically edit this rule. And in editing this rule, we want to uncheck show bar only so that we basically have, let's apply, then click OK. So that we basically have our values. So we also want to add another conditional formatting so that, because what if you want to format it to be white? Still click to highlight it, go to conditional formatting and say new rule, okay? This time we want to format cells that contain, right? Click on cells that contain and click a drop down on between and say greater than. Remember that we formatted this to percentage. So it's actually underground, say in 0 points, right? So this should be 0.64, but on the surface formatted to percentage, and that's why we're seeing it this way. Where do we want it to start being white from? So we'll say 0.50. Then when we do this, we have to click on format because it's in format that we will be able to change the color, okay? So let's go to color, click the drop down and select white. Let's click OK and then click OK here. You see that it's white already. So if we keep checking, you see it increases. Then when it's full at 100%, you see the bar is full, okay? If you uncheck, when it crosses that 50%, you see that it turns black, okay? So now that we have fixed everything, let us just go ahead and make sure that our to-do list looks good. So to make sure that everywhere is plain and without these grid lines, we will go to the View tab, then we will uncheck grid lines. So we can basically adjust this row. So say merge these, okay? So let's merge, then add this color so that we can easily then call this our to-do list, okay? So we'll just increase the font size now, put it at the center and align to the middle, change the font type to Arial black, and then make it white. So we have our to-do list now.